Ciao, sono Stefano.
Hi, I'm Stefano, and I'll be your guide on this journey to discover the world of coffee. Men and women have been drinking and enjoying coffee for centuries. For many people, it's almost a cult. But where do these well-loved aromas, flavors, and properties come from? Coffee undertakes a long and adventurous journey from a remote tropical field to reach our palate. Every stage of the trip is important, an essential link in the chain of quality. We're going to follow the adventure Illy Coffee takes step by step, from cultivation to transport, from roasting to preparation, from faraway lands to the processing plant, and finally to our coffee shops and homes. Together we will discover what makes coffee unique and learn how best to taste it. Nature plays the most important part in the first stage of its journey, in countries where it is planted and grown. It begins with a seedling in a far-off tropical field. First of all, coffee is a plant, which is why, going back to the very beginning, the quality of the coffee in the cup depends most of all on botany and genetics. Coffea is an evergreen bush that belongs to the Rubiaceae family. Its leaves, which are a deep green, resemble those of the bay laurel. They have a smooth surface and the edges are slightly undulated. In its natural state, the plant can grow to a substantial height, up to 12 meters, but on plantations it is kept to around 2 to 3 meters to facilitate the harvest. It originates from the high plains of Kaffa in Ethiopia. Coffea today grows in more than 80 countries around the world at a maximum distance of 5,000 kilometers from the equator, in the tropical regions of the globe. Here temperatures range between 17 Celsius and 30 Celsius, and precipitation varies between 1,200 and 2,000 millimeters a year. Around 100 species of Coffea exist in nature, but essentially only 2 are consumed around the world, Coffea arabica and Coffea canephora, known as Arabica and Robusta. Each bring different characteristics to the drinks they make, a more balanced taste and a wider aromatic spectrum for Arabica, and a less aromatic, more bitter taste for Robusta. These differences are also due to the geographic and climatic conditions in which the 2 species grow. Much more delicate, Arabica is grown at high altitudes, where the fruit ripens at moderate temperatures, and where temperature variations and alternating seasons favour the development of aromas. Robusta, on the other hand, is much hardier and grows at lower altitudes, no higher than 800 meters above sea level. An unusual characteristic of Coffea is that its productive cycle is strictly linked to the rain pattern where it grows. The plant blooms after every intense rain that follows a dry period. Coffea's small white flowers are intensely perfumed. They wither after about a week and then the plant begins a new adventure, starting the process of fructification. The fruit of the coffee plant looks much like a cherry. As it ripens, its colour changes from green to bright red or yellow. Each fruit contains 2 seeds, the coffee beans. Beneath the skin, surrounded by the pulp, there is a sugary layer called the mucilage. The seeds are then protected by a thick whitish membrane, called the parchment, and a second tight-fitting silvery membrane, called the silver skin. Beneath this we find our beans. If we look even further inside the coffee fruits, at a molecular level, we find another component we recognize, but perhaps we don't know that much about: caffeine. Because this is such a technical question, I'm going to pass you over to an expert. Marino will tell you all about the secrets of this mysterious molecule.
Mysterious? Did you know that caffeine is the most studied molecule in alimentary pharmacology? There are thousands and thousands of articles in medical literature that describe the effects it has on the human organism. It's no surprise, because caffeine is actually very common in the vegetable world, where plants use it as a kind of natural anti-parasite. Human beings also consume it in many things. You might be surprised to know that there is caffeine in tea, there is caffeine in cola, and there is caffeine in lots of traditional drinks popular in South America, such as guarana in Brazil or mate in Argentina. Caffeine is metabolized pretty quickly, in a matter of hours, and some people metabolize it faster than others, which explains why some have a greater desire for coffee than others. However, we should also remember that Arabica coffee, the one we like, grown in the mountains, contains less caffeine than its cousin Robusta, up to half the amount.
Due to the fact that it flowers when there is intense rainfall after a dry spell, a coffee plant can bear fruit in varying stages of ripeness, which makes harvesting a complex operation. There are essentially three ways to harvest coffee. Picking, where only the ripe drupes are collected by hand. Stripping, where all the fruit, ripe and unripe, is stripped off the branch. And mechanical stripping, which is similar to hand stripping but uses special machines. To guarantee quality, coffee must go through several selection stages along its journey. The first takes place when the fruit of the coffee plant is harvested. This is necessary to separate the ripe and healthy fruit from any which is unripe or defective. This phase uses giant sieves and the flotation technique. When immersed in water, any overripe, dry or insect-damaged fruits float to the surface, where they can be discarded. Later, when the beans have been extracted from the fruit, they too must be selected. As well as discarding defective beans, this operation also sorts the beans by weight, colour and size. Now, in one of the most difficult stages of their journey, the coffee beans must be extracted from the harvested and selected fruit. This can be done by dry or wet processing. With dry processing, natural coffee is produced. The fruit is laid out to dry in the sun on large cloths or tables for 2 or 3 weeks. Wet processing, on the other hand, produces washed coffee and is preferred in countries with rainy climates. This method strips the fruit of its skin and a large part of its pulp with special depulping machinery. However, the bean remains covered in mucilage. This can be removed either by drying, which gives us café descascado, mechanically to make café desmucilado, or by natural fermentation to make café despulpado. After selection, coffee is stored in jute or polypropylene sacks. These come in different sizes, but generally weigh 60 kilos. It is kept in warehouses ready to be loaded into containers on cargo ships. During this stage, it is very important to protect coffee from humidity, light and odours that could compromise the quality. Finally, the coffee is ready to set off on its long journey that will take it all over the globe.